So, your final, I'm giving it to you today. I don't expect it to be done by tomorrow. I have the due date as Friday. Now, I'm not giving you the whole week technically, but I kind of am. So, you have today all the way up to Friday to do it. But I'm gonna be giving you some other assignments in between. So, we do have a different assignment for tomorrow and Wednesday and so on. I'm just giving it to you right now so that you know that you can be prepared to spend a little bit more time on it. So it's nothing super hard as far as drawing. You're not going to be using any weird revolving tools, stuff like that. This pretty much just can be done using just extrusions, but you're going to have to think a little bit, okay? So I saw this dumb ad, and this dumb ad was on Facebook or something, and it was like, and I clipped the picture out of it right here, and it was like, we'll send you for every week plans how to build cool stuff like this, like the plans on how to build this. Like, in other words, this is a bunch of 2x4s. It's all one piece of wood, by the way. It's just 2x4s everywhere, and you just cut them to different lengths. So you have these shorter ones, you got these longer ones, and you have these lengths, and you have this length right here. This is longer than these pieces, and so on and so forth. And they give you these plans. So they're like, buy 20 2x4s and cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them to 5 feet length, and cut 12 of them to 36 inches. Whatever. So it's plans, whatever they are. So your thing is you have this picture, and they're all made out of 2x4s. Now, first thing, since I think it's important that you guys know what a 2x4 is. You kind of know what it is, you've heard of it before, but you do need to know this, that a 2x4, and you should know this from last year, but I don't know if you remember this. Does anybody know the width of a 2x4 this way? It's actually not 4 inches. Oops. It's actually 3.5 inches. And this is not 2, it's 1.5. So it's a half inch smaller on each. So it's 3.5 here and 1.5 here. And the reason being is what happens is when they first cut these out of a piece of log or lumber, they cut them to 2 inches by 4 inches, but they take a quarter inch off each side, and a quarter inch here and a quarter inch here, which ends up being a half total, by the way. So when you take a quarter inch here and a quarter inch here, you lose a half an inch. And the quarter inch is made for finishing. They're really rough cuts when they first saw them, and then the smoother finish and rounded edges, they end up taking a quarter inch of extra wood off. So they end up being a 1.5 by 3.5 wood, and they commonly sell them in lengths. The common length to sell them at like Home Depot or something is 8 foot. You can get them in longer and stuff, but 8 foot's the very common length. 8 foot pieces of wood. So they come in 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches, and that's fairly important. You need to know that to do your project. And the reason you need to know that is going back here. When you go here, if you're wondering how deep this goes this way, so how far? Well, if you look, if you look here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of wood here. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 pieces in between, right? So there's 5 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes. So technically that's 6 plus 5, that's 11. That's 11 pieces of wood here. And so if you just commonly doing a little bit of math here, you would just say, oh, that's 11. They're 1.5 inches thick, right? Each one. So that's 11 times 1.5 inches. And now you know the bench, whatever that may be, you'll know exactly how wide that is right here. So now you know how wide that is. It's 11 times 1.5 because they're 1.5 inches thick, each one of those in that way. Now, we know that they're 3.5 inches high, like that, right here, this little height of this wood right here, but that doesn't matter too much, but they are 3.5 inches. And they're 1.5 inches thick each, and there's 11 of them there. In fact, if you count this, you can add another 1.5 and another 1.5, but that's not necessarily, you're not really sitting on this big bar here, this armrest. That's more for the armrest, so the armrest is going to be longer. This armrest is longer because it's this seat width plus a little bit extra, 1.5 more on each side. So those are things you need to look at. Now, so first off, everybody in class should have the same depth right here of the of the bench right here. You know, this, if you're sitting, this sitting depth. The height should be pretty standard. So if you go to like the internet and just put sitting height for bench, it's around 16 inches high. So from the floor to where you sit, depending on what height is comfortable for you, choose from heights between 14 and 19 above the ground. So that's the sitting height is around there. So if you want, you can totally just measure what you have at your house and see what is comfortable at your house and do that. But we'll assume, like, you know, a 16 is fine, but whatever you want to do. So these pieces we know are about 16 or whatever you choose for your sitting height. You know, if you found a chair at your house that's 15 and you're like, man, I like that comfortable height, then go ahead and do 15. If you want to do 18, whatever. I mean, you know, one's gonna. If you want your feet to dangle and you're short, then you know you can make it like 19 inches or whatever. So you kind of choose this. This one, everybody's going to be the same in class. It's 11 times. You know, this distance here is 11 times 1.5. A little bit wider though overall if you count these armrests, of course. This one right here, go ahead and choose in class how wide you want it. Now the limit would be 8 feet because these wooden 2x4s come in 8 feet length commonly. So we would say the most you could ever make it 8 feet, but 8 feet is a pretty wide bench. So if you want to look at what a common 3-person bench is, you can look up and say width of a 3-person bench, you know, and then it says that, you know, around a common, here we go, and this one has a common distance right here, and it says that it's about I don't know, it says 61 inches, which is like 5 feet or something like that. It's hard to read that picture right here. This one shows 42 inches to 60 inches. That does sound common, but that's up to you. So I'm going to let you decide what you want to do there. But this width right here, maybe you even have a little spot. So you kind of talk to your parents and say, hey, if I were to build this, I'm building the plans for it. Where would you want to put this? And they're like, hey, man, remember on the front porch there's that little space between the planter and the wall, and it's like 48 inches right there. Okay, then perfect. I can build it so it fits exactly right there. So you know, you choose how wide it is, you know, and that's it. The rest of all this wood is all 2x4s, and now it does look though to me that these ones right here are smaller than 2x4s. In other words, they're 2x4s cut in half. So they cut these in half. And you're welcome to do that, or you can keep them 2x4s. It's up to you. So if you take the 2x4, so this is 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches, and you rip them right down the center like that, down like a, what do you call that? A saw. Like you just take a saw right down, and a circular saw, and it just cut right down the middle of them. Then you have these thinner ones, and that way you use less wood as well. Maybe it looks a little nicer too if you have those thinner ones in the back rather than big ones. But look at this design, and you do your best to draw the plans up. And please note that it says that draw all the pieces, but you only need to draw one of each kind of piece. In other words, you see these thick pieces right here? Right here, there's a piece here, there's a short piece and a long piece, a short piece and a long piece. These longer pieces go all the way from the bottom to the top. The other pieces only have to go from here down to here, because remember, this is taking up some of the room right here, right? So this is taking up here, so they're shorter. But you only have to draw this once and this once, and then you remember when you go to the assembly, you can just choose to get more pieces. So you don't need to draw this piece like what, 6 times 2, because there's some on the other side as well. You don't need to draw that many times. You're just drawing like, hey, just like this right here. You see this arm right here? This taller one right here? You're going to draw it one time, even though there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. You're only going to draw it once. this armrest right here, you're only going to draw it once, but there are two of them. There's one here and there's one here. So no worries on that. And then it says draw them all. Do an assembly of the bench. So you have to build an assembly of it inside of Onshape. And how many 8-foot 2x4s do I need? Let me give you one hint on that before we're finished. Do not count up all the total length of every piece. Like, oh, I need, let's see, I need 3-foot ones, and I need 10 of the, I'm just going to do a quick number. I need 10 of those, and I need 5-foot ones, and I need I need 10 of those as well, so like longer ones. And that's going to equal 50 feet, and that's going to equal 30, so I need 80 feet. So, yeah, so I just need exactly 80 feet, and they're 8 foot each, right? So I just need 10, 10 of these. I just need 10. That's my answer. Don't do it like that because that's not real. If you bought 10 to cut these out, you would not be able to do it. The reason, well, actually you would, because dang it, this is a coincidence. You can take the 5-foot piece, you can take the 8-foot piece and cut 5 feet here, and then the remainder would be 3 feet right here. Okay, so yeah, okay, technically you could. But if it was, let's say if I changed this to 6 feet and I did the math, you may not be able to do it because what's going to happen is you might end up with extra pieces that are like little lengths left over, and you go, oh, well, that's waste because I have these little pieces left over. Now, you could try to design it in such a way where you have less waste as well if you want, but I'm not going to be harsh on that this time. Maybe second semester I would be a little harder and make you think more. But right now, I want you to think of like how many true pieces of wood you would have to do. And then, of course, maybe later on we can even talk about how much that would cost. If we go to Home Depot here, and we can see that a cheap 2x4, not that one, that one's only 2 feet long. I think I saw them for like, they're like $4 or $5. They used to be like $2. But now it's like they're so expensive. I'm trying to find an 8-foot piece, a common 8-foot. Finished, prime, stained, unfinished. And then, and 2x4. 2x4. And then, I don't want cherry, red oak, that stuff's expensive. Cherry, mahogany, maple, poplar, walnut, just wood. And it's just cheap wood. I'm trying to find like a cheap one. They seem to be like $4 or $5 a piece now. I don't even see it right now for some reason. But I don't know why you can't just find a 2x4. Let's see. Here it is right here. $5 each. 2x4 by 96. That's 8 feet. Right here. This is prime white stud. But I would think there's cheaper ones than that. That's $5 a pop. That's pretty pricey. Usually you can find them cheaper than that. Maybe if you go to like a lumber yard or something. Here's one that's still $5 for Douglas fir. Yeah, this stuff's like $5 a 2x4 now. Pretty expensive. So that's your assignment due Friday.